Is Delhi, not something that we commonly see over here, oftentimes because either of these civilizations gets very commonly banned on this map over here. Spawning in on the left is going to be B playing as the Rus in red, and right side is LucifroN playing as the Delhi in blue. But in this particular matchup, how do you feel about the Delhi's capabilities of denying the board from the Rus over here? How does the Rus have to play this one to try and counter the Delhi?
So we've seen actually this matchup. I believe it was played in one of the final weekends of Golden League, and it was remarkable actually watching the Delhi block out the ball. It's the risk of it being too close, right? If you get too close to the sun, you get burnt. In this situation, B can play balls with little to no risk. I don't see LucifroN blocking him. My concern is going to be these sacred sites. Like if you play towards ball, you're not playing sacred here, and that essentially that's like both players getting what they want. However, I think in that matchup, the Delhi get more, right? Because they'll get 450 gold per minute compared to you getting 400-ish gold, 400-ish food rather per minute. And you have to use villages to do so. So definitely think it's important that B plays sacred sites instead of getting fixated on the ball. B is a very interesting player though. One thing he's still doing that no other Roost player does at the moment is like very early TC on ball locations or like proxy forward bases. I don't think I've seen any other player consistently do it. I noticed he was doing it still just last week. So someone to maybe keep an eye out for.
And honestly, if you look at the board spawns on this map, if you want to go for a proxy town center on a board, this is probably the best map to do it on. Look at it, look at that wildlife over there, sheep and wolf fighting off over here. It looks like each scout's peel off with two wolves trailing them. So let's go back to that southern board over here because that is a perfect spot for B to place a second town center
Oh,
on a board at, right?
oh. It is, but in the
Ooh.
meantime, like B, I think he's yoinking the wolves there.
Yeah,
Like this
he's
is very
yoinking
good
it.
though, because he's got the gold, and then he's got reserve wood line behind that, right? So overall, it's really good. In the meantime, like back on this wolf, oh, nice take by LucifroN. But the other wolves are gonna go B's way, so I think this is gonna be about a 325, 350 gold mark pretty easily. In fact, yeah, he's
Really
gonna
good
exceed
bounty
that.
here. Look at that, 325, and this is without the boar. Like, at this point, if you also count in the sheep, and it looks like he also found another wolf for himself, this could realistically be 500 bounty by mid-feudal age, and that would be outstanding, I have to say. Looks like he's on 9 sheep. Some of those on the overlay are dead, though, so I don't think that he has 9 alive. I think he only has 7 alive. That should be
I think he's
35.
got about so but he's got to return a few more. So I think he's probably got about like 50 gold in sheep as well. Like that's actually an insane score to be able to achieve in a Roost mirror, like a Roost matchup rather. Like typically Roost players are usually 350 max, but around 250, 275. Like B's
Yeah.
done a remarkable job here. Like he kind of handled LucifroN, and keep in mind LucifroN, he didn't go stingy. He went double scout as well, so he should have been able to deny more than this.
Yeah, it has to come down to the fact that B was able to yoink 1 or 2 wolves from the back of LucifroN scouts. Like, LucifroN gathered some of those wolves, it's just the fact that B could still get the bounty for them, and that's what makes the difference over here between, let's say, 320 and 385. But this is a remarkable amount of bounty that B possesses, and this is without a boar. Like, oftentimes you see Rus players getting to like 350 with a boar, which gives you 75. He's already at 395 with that, so it's
Oh,
very outstanding.
Lidakor, this bores me. We need to change the way that wolves work. Why don't they follow the player that has more sheep?
You don't want that. Like, all I can say, like, we talked about the alpha version of Age of Empires 4 in terms of naval combat. I can
Yeah.
tell you, you don't want wolves trying to kill the sheep. This is all I can say about it.
No, but I want them to like aggro on the player with more sheep because I actually like that idea because then like you can keep your sheep out, but it's risky, right? I can't. Maybe I'm just
Oh
like I'm.
man.
I think it's like it's a cool idea because you sacrifice safe eco to try and get like wolves, and it's a counterplay to Roost as well, so it has multifaceted layers.
Yeah, like that would be an interesting one to take a look at for sure. This being said, B is at 400 bounties. His hunting cabin is also exceptional. It's like 33 gold, which is at tier 2 pretty remarkable. Looks like he's not moving up. Never mind. There go the villagers. And there's a stable for him. He's popping out a knight here for safety. This will be scouted by LucifroN. But this is where it gets interesting. LucifroN has to make up his mind. Is he focusing on the sacred sites primarily, which are, by the way, very heavily spread out across the map on this map? You see one in each corner and then one you have in the middle. Or is he going to focus on trying to punish that expansion out there? This is going to be a very interesting dynamic to take a look at with this town center spot for B and how LucifroN is going to approach this.
I swear, when I heard that building crumble earlier, I swear I heard a Wilhelm scream. I must be imagining things. Maybe someone else in the chat heard, like, I don't know. Maybe I've been awake too long here, Lidakor. For those who don't know the Wilhelm scream, just check out old CNC when units die. I heard something. That farm, by the way, from B, I'm glad he identified that misclick because farms build really fast in this game.
Yeah, like he realized that he's going to get the boar. It looks like he's getting the boar. LucifroN is not even trying to yoink the bounty away. 485.
Away.
Oh.
So LucifroN wasn't looking because I think he's microing elsewhere. He might be prepping his scholars that like start moving out with spears soon. So he wasn't looking at that scout. He does get the roost scout in the end, but it was long enough that he pulled him entirely away, so he didn't even have a chance to try and snipe it.
Wait a second, he didn't click Sanctity? What?
Wait. No.
That can't be intentional. He just now started researching it. Oh no, he's not even... Where are the scholars at? He's got one scholar. This has to be completely different from everything that we have seen from the Delhi before, because this is not a standard Delhi build with the fast Sanctity for sure.
Yeah, to quote my girlfriend after she signed a mortgage agreement with me, that this was a mistake. Like, there's no way this was intended at all. Double Blacksmith is nice, at least. I think he'll get the freedom to do that because B's a very greedy player. He doesn't tend to aggress you as often as people think. I think he's got this perceived concept, right? Like, people have been beaten by B's cheese before, where he'll, like, outpost rush you. So a lot of people instinctively think he's a very aggressive player. But speaking from experience watching this guy a lot, and ouch, double takedown good.
That hurts.
And speaking to people who've played with him in other games, B actually prefers hyper late games. So if he gets an opportunity to be greedy instead of aggressive, he'll actually take it.
And the thing is that, as you pointed out, part of the reason why the players are just so afraid of these cheesy strategies is because they know that B can pull these off. And this gives a very interesting duality to B's games, because oftentimes the opponents of B respect his ability to go for these cheesy and super weird, super aggro plays so much that they will just deviate from a standard build order because they're afraid of B's cheesy plays, and then B is just going to play very standard and just build on the fact that his opponents deviated from a standard build order because they were so afraid of something surprising.
Yeah, and right now it's just Knights coming up from B, which isn't surprising for LucifroN. There hasn't been a switch up yet. If you can get rid of the scouts, the game gets dangerous for LucifroN because he can't see what's coming next. He might assume it'll be archers, but he'll never know. But as it stands for the moment, looks like there's a raid in. Did get one of the villagers there. No, you can't harvest that, sir. Only the boar. A good trade as well. So Spearman for a villager, you're absolutely fine with that if you're LucifroN. That's a fantastic trade.
Yeah, that's a great trade out there. Obviously, there is a villager deficit that LucifroN had to cut into because LucifroN lost villagers prior to that raid, so those knights did some work, and it looks like LucifroN is mining stone for himself over here. A lot of surprising moves over here from LucifroN. Not a lot of things that you have seen from Delhi players before, that's for sure.
Something you don't see so often is the enemy of the Delhi player walling the sacred site, unless they're playing Delhi as well. But I actually really like this player B because you have fortified palisade walls. They're much stronger than the standard ones. You can just block LucifroN out from one of his key conditions for winning very cheaply by using a resource that you get 20% more of because you're the Rus.
And if you look at the big picture over here, let's say that the LucifroN isn't able to access most of the sacred sites. He doesn't have a spectacular gold income, right? He's playing one town center. He's using berries, but those will be depleted quite rapidly. You are also playing the Rus, so you do have the warrior monk to yoink most of the relics. The eco here for the Delhi long term isn't going to be spectacular without those sacred sites.
Yeah, it is a little bit... So despite that, like, I think he gets Sacred Sites eventually simply because B still hasn't transitioned. He's finally doing it now, but it's so delayed. I'm kind of surprised at how long he took to start pushing archers. Double archer range won't, like, deal with that quick enough. Your knights are heavily injured, so they can't directly counter out the horsemen for free, and you can see the result of that, right? Like, he just lost another knight. He lost 2. This is awkward right now. I feel like B waited too long to switch into archers, and there wasn't really a good reason for it either.
Yeah, and the thing is that by the time he gets the archers out, there is already horsemen from the Delhi player over here. But in the meantime, that knight was doing work out there. LucifroN losing multiple villagers on the gold mine. He's down by 2 now, and it looks like he's gonna have the sacred site to compensate for it. Still sending out villagers to wall this in. He's almost going for an all-in of all-in.
Wow. Say that 5 times over. He's gonna, like, it's very weird actually. B, like, usually when he does this type of play, it's something for like a TC, but there isn't room for that, and there isn't actually great value. Maybe to the south side afterwards.
Oh, he
Goes to
gets
the quick
it.
wall in now. Oh, just about time. Switches over. So it looks like he's gonna get the walls up. He'll even make a gate so he can get back out. The Archer's now coming out into the field. It's gonna be a problem for LucifroN. LucifroN now pulling the skulls to the front line to try and keep the healers going alive. The TC in the back corner. This is signature LucifroN. He loves to do this. He likes to hide his eco. It's actually very smart. We'll talk about it in a moment, but I want to see what B's going to do next because he's brought this in. What's the next element to play here? Like, what do you do from this position?
Well, you gotta deal with those spearmen first. And you gotta finish that wall. There is a section that's like super low HP that could be easily broken through by LucifroN. LucifroN's playing 2 TC.
East side, right? Yeah. So it's east side, so you can't breach it because there's Wooden Fortress. By the time you see it, it's too late. So it's actually a pretty crafty move by B. This better be an extension TC, though. Like, this is a heavy investment if you're not going to now TC boom this area, especially considering what he doesn't know, which is LucifroN is in the back corner, booming up. And we can now talk a little bit about what LucifroN's done here. He always does this at the moment. I've seen it so frequently when he does multi-TC play. We actually saw it in the Golden League playoffs when he played the French on Dry Arabia. He likes to put a secondary TC against the edge of the map because it's less flankable, right? The direction of approach is limited, similar to if you had tree lines to your north and south.
And it's much more difficult to detect as well because like that intermediate stage of the game when you're raiding, you are not really scouting at that edge of the map. You're scouting for more towards the middle. Looks like he's going to get scouted out here, and this is vital information coming in for B.
I don't think he sees. If we check vision for B right now, I think it's just out of range, but he's going to reveal it, LucifroN. Oh my god, if he just kept the Scholar there. Yeah, B didn't see that. He didn't have vision on it until he pulled back.
That's painful. I mean, he tried to save the Scholar, and I understand why, because he wants to maintain control over that sacred side, but he just played his cards, and now B knows what's up. But now B knows that he's up against 2 TCs, and look at the reaction from B. He's up to 400 stone. He bought 150 for the weapon emplacement, but I'm certain that he bought 300 just like 20 seconds ago as a response to that second town center that LucifroN has.
Yeah, you don't have a choice, right? Like, you know, once you spend any of it on emplacements, you need to actually like spend additional plus supplies to get into the TC. But the wood is lagging behind a little bit. Like, it's the archer production actually has slowed him down now. He doesn't want to let off it. Instead, he wants to up the aggression. Moves in for the Wooden Fortress. Wooden Fortress that is also going to slow down the secondary TC. Are we going to see an ultra-aggressive town center placement, actually? It wouldn't be the first time B's done it.
I was thinking about that, the same thing as well. It's like, what are the odds of him going for like a super TC drop? Because a town center in Feudal Age is a very tanky structure. It's difficult to deal with. Although with the Delhi, you could get siege engineering for yourself. But alternative is just full Wooden Fortress and then go for the weapon emplacements. Villagers, hello?
Whoa! Hello? This build order has been denied. Get out of here. Little bit overzealous from B, wasn't paying attention, just thought he would for free be able to drop more Wooden Fortresses, but now he's in position to do that. And he's starting to crawl in. If he gets another Wooden Fortress, that might actually reach into the farmlands as well. LucifroN is about to get very uncomfortable in this game.
Can you see a TC drop being a thing here? He's got the resources for it. It would be one of the craziest things. But I mean, we're talking about B. If there's any person on this planet that can pull something like that off, it could be him. And he queued textiles for a second. I think he's thinking about it.
So if you're going to TC drop, I think it's on the stone to the north here. You don't place it between the 2 Wooden Fortresses because it's not good value. Here we go, though. B moving up. Doesn't have the wood to go for a TC yet. Looks like he's playing to the north side where there's berries, gold, everything here. Would be a good position, but would take a long time to build up. And look at it. He's chasing after this. The pull. There's 11 scores in the field for LucifroN and practically all of them on the screen. And it is. It's the aggressive TC drop. Right in his face here, in a choke point where melee units can't fight. This is the perfect place. He's using the stone outcropping as well as the TC foundation to block the assault. And LucifroN can't get in. He's clashing with himself, just trying to get on top of him here. What a play out of B.
Oh man, this is just the perfect TC drop over here. The Scholar is standing at the backline trying to heal, but...
Villagers though, the villagers, he didn't protect them from the horsemen, the backstab there. Only 2 villagers
You gotta
remain,
pull more.
but it's good enough.
You gotta pull more here because you're cleaning up LucifroN. Nothing else is left for LucifroN army-wise.
There's nothing left in this series for him right now. Like, look at this. He's lost everything. The score's now being sniped as well. Military count is just down to 7 aggressive units. And now the pocket eco as well. The Knights move out. This has gone from bad to catastrophe for B. For LucifroN, rather. as B is the Reaper of the catastrophe.
Oh,
And
man.
I don't know what you do here.
Look
I
at
really don't know what
LucifroN.
you do.
Look at LucifroN. His army is basically scholars. He's got
It's
17
villagers.
army. Half of them are scholars, and he's losing everything here.
They're just being peppered with arrows. He has no defense against this. LucifroN has been drained dry, bled to the bone, and now B will make the Delhi home his own.
Oh my goodness, I mean, this is a first for me seeing a 3C drop like that. Reminds me of the days when the Mongol town centers could be dropped like that, the dark days of Age of Empires 4 after release. And B pulls it off. I'm sure that that town center is complete indeed. He pulled more villagers, and now he's got a second TC, so it's not like he's going to fall behind that much in villager count, and this staging ground is perfect. Behind this one, look at the resources as well for him. He is actually close to Castle Age. LucifroN in the meantime, floating 1400 gold. I think for B, next step is buying yourself up with the Golden Gate and then using the stone that you could mine right next to that forward town center to drop a castle.
You can even just get the gold for the front line, get whatever you want right now. It just feels so free for him in this game. And you know, the way I describe playing against B, it's like there's a buzzing noise. You can sense it for the player. Bzzz. Well, that buzzing noise is right next to your ear at this point. Like, you do not have any expansion, any accessibility. The other concern now is because of B's posture. When he does tech up, he's getting all 5 relics for free. You can't stop him. It's impossible from this position now. And
Yeah,
the Ram, oh my god, he can't even build it.
But the thing is, even if you get a battering ram, dealing with a town center like this, if you don't have the military numbers, is not easy, because I can just pull villagers, destroy the ram, and then jump back into the town center. You need units that can escort that battering ram, and on that right-hand side corner, you could see the disastrous problem that LucifroN is facing. He has to add farms, because 2 patches of berries are being denied from him, the one on the front and the one to the north of his base. Both of them are inaccessible because of that town center drop.
Yeah, that tends to be very bad for people who aren't familiar with Delhi. You do want to be gathering there. You increase the capacity of a mill and you get better gathering rates on them. And, well, any civ switching over to farms is a heavy burden. And now the burden's going to get even heavier. It might just be enough to break LucifroN. The raid on the backside, the Knight's moving in onto that berry patch. That berry patch that you were confident about. And LucifroN, he's being pinged back at base. The timing for B attacking there means he's not going to notice this. Finally, he actually peels them back. Only losing 1 villager, but plenty of them heavily injured here. Assault underneath the primary TC. More wooden fortresses going up. The prison cell is almost complete. And now B, he's setting up a mill on the berries right next to LucifroN's base. I'll be taking this.
Yoink, I guess. Looks like LucifroN is now breaking out though, but this is where it gets difficult. You're facing 3 wooden fortresses, each of them with 2000 HP, and a town center even, and the villagers could just jump on the ram because there is no one to protect the ram. Looks like the knights are heading towards that battering ram as well. Just kill the ram with vills.
Yeah, a little bit of a miss micro. B just AFK at the moment. We'll finally get out the torches and push him away. He needs to re-garrison quickly here, but he's committed to the ram. He wants it going. He's like, I've got 2 TCs. I can afford more villagers, goddammit. And, well, the scholars can heal many things, but they are not engineers. They are doctors. They can do nothing for that ram.
Oh man, and the thing is that LucifroN is being ground down so heavily over here. He has to commit so much resources into this push, and ultimately he cannot deal with the town center. He can't even deal with the towers, let alone the tanky town center.
Look at both of their food right now. This is the limiting factor, actually. So these troops on the field matter a lot. I think this is where you should be garrisoning the archers, not the knights. This guy's like, let me in. Make room. I'll sit on someone's lap. But luckily for him, LucifroN gets scared away by the fire from the wooden fortresses for good reason. Like I mentioned, that food is starting to just disappear on both sides.
Yeah, like B ran out of that boar, and obviously it's going to slow down his access to food. Farm transition in the making here for LucifroN, but this is a suboptimal farm transition because it is very much exposed in that right-hand side corner. Like, if this farm transition was in the middle of your base, it's much more defendable. This time around, this is going to set up B with a long-term success because that is a very raidable food eco for the next few minutes. B also needs to address his eco because both sides were losing a hefty amount of wood in the bank, so it's something that you have to balance out. And think about Castle Age, maybe.
Speaking of wood, LucifroN, look at the investment. 4 rams. He's building heavy here. He knows he needs to get out. Like, he has the back spawn that is protecting him at the moment, right? Keeping him alive all those farms. As you said, they're exposed. A few knights in here can do some heavy damage. Textiles will at least mitigate some of that. but it can't defend you indefinitely unless you send scholars down there to offset any damage done. And look what he's about to spot. The amount of farms in this area, if B sees it, he'll just keep raiding in there instead, because that will shut down the war machine. Delhi, well, they only have so much left in them. If they cannot use their farms, there's no berry patches you can expand to. B with more static defenses, because if there's one thing the Roos can always afford, it's wood.
That's for sure, indeed. Their wood eco is nothing to be ashamed of. And look at the amount of towers that you have over there, all of those with arrow slits. The amount of firepower is immense here, even with the battering rams. The problem that LucifroN is facing is that his army will melt in a blink of an eye. Like, this army is gonna get cleaned up by the towers in a split second, and then you can just jump on those rams with your villagers. Battering ram also moving in on the north, that's completely defenseless, and that's exactly what B is spotting. He's jumping in on the northern ram here.
And another one going up, another wooden fortress up. So yeah, you lose one, but every time one falls, it feels like two come back up. And LucifroN now diving with the scholars. They're being sniped out by the wooden fortresses too fast. The 9 count is increasing. LucifroN's army is decreasing fast here. It's just scholars with no one to heal because they all died too fast. Barely any spearmen left, barely any horsemen. The archer count increasing as well. LucifroN trying to hold on, but it's hard to see what there's left to hold on to. The Rams will at least be able to find their way for a secondary wooden fortress, but my god, is the price high.
The price is high, especially if you consider that those rams are also very expensive here for LucifroN. So sure enough, you're taking down some towers, but I mean, the towers are cheaper than those rams individually. And of course, the Roos even have that lumberjacking bonus. And you see that most of the army for LucifroN is now gone. He keeps spamming over here, but how long can he sustain that? He's down to 200 food in the bank. His food eco is still looking sharp though, 1000 food per minute. And B looks like he's losing a bit of a momentum over here, losing most of the towers, but it looks like the Rams will be traded back, so I guess it's an even fight here for both.
Yeah, and how do you afford this again? Like, LucifroN, the reason that lasted so long is the scholar count. Look at the scholar count now. Look at the military count. Like, he's completely behind now. People keep trying to argue, like, oh, his economy looks really good. Like, his economy is strong. Like, yeah, because B's is strong as well. Like, B's not suffering as a result of this. He knows every single piece of territorial gain here hurts LucifroN's eco. He can afford to lose half the map before it affects his own.
And it's not even gonna be about the food eco, it's gonna be about the wood. Look at the lumberjacks of LucifroN all on the same screen, because this is the only forest he has a realistic access to, and now with the third tower coming up on the north for vision, it's gonna be inaccessible, and if he moves to the south, that is going to be more than raidable by knights. There is already one knight in the stealth forest on standby. All B needs to do is just get vision on this place, and he's going to start massacring villagers big time.
Yeah, all he needs to do is sniff it out. So far, LucifroN, through sheer skill or maybe just luck with some of these vision elements, has been dodging death time and time again. This time it might be a little bit too hard. His economy a little bit too condensed, trying to build up the static defenses. Raid in for the knights. They'll go to trade out in the villages, and they amass, immediately backing away when they see the spears, though. They'll back away towards the wooden fortress, baiting out a small contingent of LucifroN's troops, and double outpost investment. I thought you were here to get wood, not spend it.
He needs to defend those villagers though, and you see now those wooden fortresses with the arrow slits on them, they will come into play. And as you chop deeper and deeper into that forest, this is gonna get worse and worse because you increase the probability of B seeing you. In fact, B is actually chopping the same forest out here, depleting the wood accessible for LucifroN.
And look at this, he's willing to take bad trades because he understands like the wood limiting factor. Like he can see when you've got this many people on a wood line, how desperate you have to be in that department. We know LucifroN has at least built up a surplus in reserve, but that's not going to last forever. And he's starting to reach range. There it is. Look, the arrow slits in the wooden fortresses can now reach. He's chopped too many trees, and now his eco count is going to be casually chopped down. B already with an 8-point lead. That's going to extend further. The village is pulling back from that line. Several more will go down. And now what are you going to do? What can you defend here? You can't build an outpost in this area. It's time for straggler trees. You do not want to, but you might have to.
And it looks like...
what?
Yep.
This is... No. Lidakor, this is too greedy, right?
Yeah,
this looks way too greedy.
I feel like it's desperation. It has to be. He's realizing he can't win a Feudal Age fight, so maybe he thinks Castle Age is going to save him, but that's not even going up because B spots it, and that's gonna be all the villagers going down that landmark. Castle Age will be denied here. B is not gonna let that building go up for sure.
I mean, look at the archer count. Like, he doesn't even have to rush him because he takes out the army first and he'll turn on his next, knowing that there's not any infrastructure to build up an army instantly. And then with the massacre, knights in, archers in, everything on top of him. Even if you get the tech up, you won't get the win. And the win goes to B, 2-0 sweep. And my God, did he look dominant doing it.
And now you see why B is a dangerous, dangerous player against anybody, because sometimes he can pull out the craziest looking things. He makes games immensely messy, and he is just able to come out of these games victorious. And this is why players are starting to respect him more and more from this perspective. They are cautious against him because they understand that any given moment in a game, he can pull up something crazy like this and just turn the game into one big chunk of chaos, just like he did in this one. This started out as a standard game, and then B just turns on, the B mode, and suddenly unleashes hell with that town center drop and the towers.
Yeah, he unleashed the swarm of bees, right? This is how he works. Like, it's just never ending with him in these type of situations. You can see how it has greedy elements to it, right? This is the way that he baits people in. They expect aggressive plays, but he's very good at measuring aggression with economical exploitation. And I think, like, the thing that I think he's learned quicker than anyone else around TC usage has come off the back of a lot of mistakes. One of the things that comes to mind, especially on maps with stealth forests, he used to use TCs as a vision buffer at the edge of forest, and he learned quickly they don't give vision. For anyone who's not seen this, if you drop a town center right next to a stealth forest, it doesn't see in. You're blind, right? That was his first experimentation. Then he wanted to go more aggressive. He started to do the boar TC drop.